Yo me llamo Max Escobar.
Yo soy Gineida y esto es Otro Nivel Podcast.
Hoy nosotros tenemos, today we have a person with us that I consider an Audiomack OG. Uh, one of the people that I could say that helped me get this platform to the next level when it comes to Latin music. We have the beautiful, the pregnant. Cris Novo, how you doing?
Hi.
Hi, bienvenida.
That intro is crazy. I love it. But thanks for having me here. I'm excited to be speaking with you guys. And yeah, I mean, I like that Audiomack OG title because,
yes.
you know,
It's a
since
black
day
and white.
one, you
Day
know?
one.
Hell yeah.
You know, this podcast we talk about the person's career, like from day one. Where do they come from? How did they get to that position that they are now? You know, and the way I want to start it is when I first met you. It was actually I heard of you through a lot of channels, right? But the first time I met you was through in the Glad Empire concert. That was the first time we met in person.
Yes. Candyland.
Candyland, exactly.
Yes.
And I remember that you looked at me and you was like, "Hi, Max." But the dope part was that after that, you know, we worked so much together, bringing artists to the platform. And I want to know how Cris Novo starts her career in music.
It's funny because originally I started in TV production. So I'm raised in Florida. I'm from Peru, Argentinian, and I moved to Miami by the age of 7, right? I started my career in TV production and I worked for a show called The Roof, which was a 2-hour live show that was aired on Mundos, which was Telemundo's sister channel. But before that, for the production house that I used to work for, we did like several TV shows, which was Rimo y Sabor. We did a regional Mexican one, and I was a TV producer and the talent booker. So when we started the show The Roof, right, which was a 2-hour live show, I would not only book the on-air talent, but also produce some of the segments. When that kind of started, there was like this boom of like reggaeton starting to buzz, like the Evie Queens of the world, the Daddy Yankees, even Pitt before he was Pitt Mr. 305. And I saw, because we ran 3 bureaus, New York, Miami, and LA, we like saw that there was this big need and connection between New York, the urban hip hop, and the reggaeton in Puerto Rico, even DR, right? To kind of like bridge that gap. So in one of like the instances when we used to come to New York, we used to do like big concerts. One of my field workers, her name was Sabrina, she was like, "Cris, like everything is happening here in New York." She was like, "You need to move out here." And I saw it, like I saw it for myself. Like, I'm like, wow, this is huge. So I did, like, I kind of quit and I moved here to New York, and there was such a need to bridge like the artist with like the media and like managers and producers that we opened up what was called the Girls Entertainment, and we became like a publicity firm. So we were the girls. And that's why it was called the Girls Entertainment, because we were everywhere. We knew everyone, and we were just kind of like connecting those dots. And that time it was like such a huge boom. Like we literally did publicity for like White Lion. We worked for Evie, like anyone, you name it, right? We would make connections with like Vibe magazine, like The Source. It was so many like big opportunities. And it was a great time. I want to say for like a good 5 years, right? And then afterwards, that kind of like boom went away. And then that's when I decided to like really learn the infrastructure of like how labels work and, you know, what it really takes to like do certain things like behind the scene. And then that's when I started working for a record label, which was Motown/Republic. So then I worked there for like, I want to say like a good 5 years. And then again, I felt like I reached that ceiling. I'm like the type of person who needs to keep on going. Like I need like new challenges. And when I saw again, like this opportunity that this Latin world was connecting with like the general market, I was like, oh, okay, like here's our second chance. Like everything is coming full circle. Like here's an opportunity, and here's the opportunity to do it right. And it's kind of when I branched out on my own. And how it really worked was once I left, I became indie again, and I just kind of started doing my own projects. I still had connections within like the infrastructure of Republic, right? Who is I guess now my husband, right? Who worked at I mean, since we want to talk about me being pregnant. Yeah. He worked at Republic at the time, and he was working Post Malone, right? So he was like, Cris, I really want to do the Rockstar remix, but a Latin remix. I'm like, okay. And I brought on, and that's when we did the Rockstar remix, the Latin one. And I brought on Nicky Jam, and I brought on Ozuna, right? So from that moment on, I was like, they were just like, we did such a great job. They're like, okay, Cris, like, hey, can you work for me? Can we do this? Can we do other projects? And I was like, damn. I was like, looks like I'm stuck. I'm like suckered back into like the publicity world, right? It was kind of something that once I broke out of it, like I wanted to do like completely different things. Like I wanted to do A&R, I wanted to do more marketing. So when I got suckered back into like the publicity world, I was like, you know what? I'm going to take it, I'm going to hone it, and I'm going to kill it. And that's kind of like how it just started. Like, I started with like Nicky, and then Ozuna, then it just like everyone just kind of like started like falling into my lap. And that's kind of how the Artistry Records grew, and how I'm into publicity. But the good thing about kind of like what I didn't want to just do publicity. So I kind of divided my what you call services, and I branched into two things, right? It's what I call publicity, which is straight media, but then I also deal with the DSPs. So I can also do my conversations, my pitches, and work one-on-one with like the Audiomacks, which is how we started. Audiomack, which is how we started, right? And then like Spotify, Apple, and just, being able to like understand that verbiage, how to work it, like how to pitch, because there's a science to everything, and not everyone is the same, right? So I that was a world that I wanted to get into, because I actually love that world secretly a little bit more than publicity, right? I find it more of a challenge. I love it more in terms of like, okay, when you like nail a cover, you're like, yes. Like that to me is a goal, right? Like a write-up is great. Like I love it. It's still like, it's still a goal, and it's still like satisfying, but not as much as when you're in that world, right? Like when you see a billboard that you like actually got in like Times Square, you're like, yep, we did this. You know what I mean? So yeah. So it's like, I kind of wanted to differentiate myself as a publicist in that sense, not just media, not just doing TV, but also like on the commerce side. So that's where we are from then to now.
Amazing. Quería saber, ¿siempre en tu infancia la música fue algo que te interesó?
Oh, sí. Yo crecí con la música. Mi papá era manager, mi papá era productor, y él hacía tours alrededor del mundo. Y cuando él hacía conciertos, cuando nosotros estábamos creciendo, él nos llevaba a los conciertos. Y yo siempre estaba backstage y veía cómo empezaba la producción, cuando los artistas entraban al escenario. Yo siempre fascinada con ese mundo. Y decía, wow, like, this is where I belong. Yo siempre sabía que iba a estar de un lado a otro en la música, porque nunca me imaginé haciendo una otra cosa que no sea la música. no importa que sea publicidad, producción, lo que sea, pero la música siempre era muy importante para mí. Y era lo único que me apasiona y lo único que me gustaba. Y eso que nosotros somos 3 hermanas, mi hermana mayor es abogada, o sea, nada que ver. Ella no te sabe un artista de uno al otro, ¿no? Y ya, y te dice, like, ¿quién es Daddy Yankee? And I'm like, what? That's fine. Juan la Justa te conoce a Juan Luis Guerra. That's why I'm like, no. Y mi hermana pequeña es como que en el mundo de fashion y otra diferente cosa, pero ya, yo siempre supe, siempre. Y eso cuando yo me fui de la industria como por ni siquiera un año, ¿no? Yo dije, déjame tratar otras cosas. Apliqué para Forbes y fui a las oficinas. Cuando yo hice esa entrevista y entré a la oficina, yo dije, no, ¿qué va? Esto no es para mí. And I went right back to music. So.
Let me ask you this question, because we're celebrating Women's Month this month, right?
Right.
And for me, you're a boss. Like you move, you create waves. You create trends. You know, just with all the stuff that you provide within the music industry. How difficult do you think it is for a woman in the music industry to create her own kind of space?
So it is difficult, but it's not impossible, right? I want to say during the time when I kind of first started, it was always a constant battle because I want to say I was like maybe one or 2 females out of like the whole group. And it was hard to get your acknowledgement, right? Because I would say something and no one would acknowledge it, right? And then they would circle back and they would say what I had already said. And I was like, but I said that already. Like when that type of situation happens, you have to be very vocal and speak up. I'm like, no, I said this. Or in like group chats, I would like, you know how on WhatsApp you get swipe and be like, see, I said it right here. See, I turned it in right here. You know what I mean? That's why I love having perfect draws. But yeah, it's hard because it's a very male dominated industry. So it's kind of like the machismo is very much still alive. So it's hard for them to accept like a female like having a better idea or having an idea period or outshining them to an extent, right? Because we're just very innovative in a sense. Not to say that men aren't, but you know, we're just kind of like ahead of the curve always. So it was hard at the beginning. My thing is you can't give up. You have to keep on pushing, right? How do I explain it? Yo no tengo pelos en la lengua, so I will always like say what I need to say, or I would just say it anyways. Like, I don't care if you're not going to like me, but it's the truth, right? Especially if I can stand by my idea or stand by what I'm talking about. You're not backing me out of it, and I'm going to keep on going until I get it. That's just my nature, and that's what women need to keep on doing. And I see that it is like it's happening, and you know, women are getting like their flowers now, like, you know, they're getting the acknowledgement that they deserve, the positions that they deserve, and it's just a matter of like continue going. You know what I mean? And like I said, it's not impossible. You know what I mean? You just have to have a backbone, and I think that also like New York brings that out of you. You know? Yeah, because when I first moved out here, I was like a shy little Florida girl. Now I'm just like, no. Yeah. So, yeah.
For sure. Mencionaste que trabajaste con artistas como Ivy Queen, que es reconocida como la queen del género urbano. ¿Puedes dar una experiencia donde usaste tu voz para elevar a un artista o a otra compañera fémina en la industria?
Oh, yeah, por supuesto. Yo cada vez que puedo les encuentro posiciones que yo puedo a mis compañeras o amigas. Y Max lo sabe. Si hay una posición, yo, ella, tienes que llamar a ella. He puesto a cierta gente en posiciones de trabajar en disqueras o darles referencias, porque yo creo que esa es la mejor forma de sacarnos adelante, ¿no? Si tú me ayudas a mí, yo te ayudo a ti, yo te ayudo a ti. Si yo te pongo aquí, entonces como que armamos un círculo y una conexión donde estamos todos unidos. Y estamos ahora en una posición en donde se necesita más latinos o latinas en ciertos lugares porque necesitamos esa voz, ¿verdad? O sea, si tú vas a una disquera ahora que quiere firmar todos estos latinos, pero no hay ningún latino que sepa trabajar ese artista, entonces estamos jodidos, por eso es que todo se acaba, ¿no? Entonces cuando a mí me dicen, oh, hay una posición abierta, I got you, toma, esta persona, esta persona, esta persona, you know what I mean? So, I mean, obviamente que tengo varias mujeres que son amigas, más que hombres, pero, you know, eso es lo que recomiendo. Pero es lo que hace, you know, makes more sense for the position, basically.
Y no solamente latinos o latinas, pero personas que sean parte de la cultura, que sepan nuestra cultura. Que una cosa es ser un latino, pero si no sabes nada, no tienes experiencia del género, se hace difícil.
Claro, y eso es muy importante para mí, porque acuérdate, yo trabajo en todos aspectos de lo que es un proyecto, no solamente es la publicidad o lo que es las plataformas. O sea, para hacer un proyecto que sea successful, todos los componentes tienen que estar ahí. Entonces, si una persona no sabe lo que es el mercadeo de un artista o de ese género, si una cosa falla, como que todo va a fallar. Yo puedo agarrar todos los mejores looks del mundo, pero si no estamos haciendo los otros pasos apropiados, entonces como que se cae la cosa. Por eso para mí representación es muy importante, muy importante.
Yeah, I was gonna talk a little bit about that. That me and you, we've had very intriguing conversations when it comes to that, right? We have spoken about how Latin has been now the new fad, right? Where when people want to cross over, oh, let's get a Latin guy to do the song, to do the
Right.
remix or something. And me and you have been one of the people that have fought that per se, right? Because I come from a background of working in convict Latino, right? And I always used to get upset at the fact that every label to like be in would be like, oh, something Latin, this Latin, and they never put us like in the whole building like normal. Like when they sign a rock band, they don't call it this rock. You know what I'm saying? It's part of the label. But it seems like whenever Latin is involved, it's like they carve like a little building in the in the label just for Latin. How do you see like the transition that Latin did? Because like when I like, you remember when reggaeton blew up and it was one of the biggest things in the world, but then it kind of died out because they were playing it so much and there was not enough like artists being developed in the genre. Like, how do you see Latin now compared to that time period?
There's many differences, right? When that first boom that you're talking about, right?
Mhm.
When Gasolina came out and you had Bad Boy Latino and you had Wu-Tang Latino and you had Rock La Familia, like you had all of these labels. And I feel like there's many instances in why, like many theories, let me say, and why it died, right? One, they were such a rush to like sign Latin artists that they were just signing anyone. They weren't understanding what they were signing, and two, they didn't know how to work it, right? So you signed an artist and you had like all of these people who weren't Latin working like these records and these artists who didn't understand the language, who didn't understand the demographics, who didn't understand what was happening or how to capitalize on that boom. So now you fast forward to this era, right? And I want to say that Despacito kind of opened up that door. Now, the huge difference is we have internet and we have streaming and we have like global access, right? So now you can actually feel, see, and touch those numbers. Like you can see like where these numbers and like how Latin is like taking over like hip hop or taking over R&B, because you see it. There's charts. There's actual physical facts here now, right? You can touch all over the world without having to like leave the comfort of your home, thanks to the pandemic also, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, I literally talk to my people in Spain all the time, and I'm here like, here's the music, and let's do interviews. So it just having the internet and having like these DSPs and having like this globalization of YouTube also just opened up the doors to like make it that much bigger. And then at the same time, you see it for yourself, like firsthand, right? I feel like this time around, we're way smarter when it comes to like how we're doing things, because I feel like a lot of these camps are very like, okay, this is my team and this is the team that I want to use. Like, I just need you for this. Like, I need you for distribution, or I need you for like your like certain infrastructures, but I need my core team. And that's how a lot of people have been like very successful. And then the other aspect would be like, you go indie and you're just as big. Like, look at Mike Towers, for example. He was indie for how long? And he just signed to Warner Latin. And even before he signed to Latin, like we were like, he's trending and he's like top 10 on Spotify charts. You know what I mean? And that was all us, like small core team, and did it like on our own.
He also was trending on Audiomack charts.
Oh, he's been trending on Audiomack charts since day one.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
No, I know. The second part of the question is the Latin independent artists, right? I feel like in the beginning, Latin artists were forced to be independent. They will sell CDs and do everything they need to do. But I feel like Latin artists started signing to majors very fast when that happened, right? And then they started they considered Latin wasn't making money, right? But they didn't understand how to make money. Like, if you're in the United States, if you're a company in the US and you don't have a base in, let's say, Chile or Colombia or Argentina or Peru or Dominican Republic or Puerto Rico, how do you expect to really see a return to your investment?
I mean, one, it's through streaming, right? And then obviously touring. They were just signing to sign, right? And then they quickly realized that being independent was way better off for them than being with a major, because sometimes when you're a major and they don't know what they're doing, you kind of get held back, right? And if you put out a product, they don't know how to like service it correctly. So I feel like artists quickly learned, and they kind of just kept on going independent and on their own. And then, just setting up different camps in like Colombia and like Chile, like you said. I mean, it's nothing for me to like reach out to them over there and like set up a media tour now at this point. You know what I mean? It just things became so accessible now that it's just like easier to like work all around the world and globally. That's why like independent is definitely the way to go. If you notice, a lot of these artists start indie and they don't go anywhere until they feel like they actually need it, if they need it. Perfect example is Bad Bunny. He's gotten millions of offers from majors. He's like, nope. Why would he? I love indie artists. To me, it's like my favorite, because you have so much more freedom and there's like so much more to do, and a lot more challenging also when it comes to like breaking them and saying, yep, you see, as an indie, like, look at where I got, and further than someone who's at a label. It just means a lot of freedom in essence, you know what I mean? To me.
Te quería preguntar, ¿qué requisito debe de tener un artista, algún proyecto para tú decidir trabajar con ese proyecto?
It's just hard. She's very expensive, and
no hay requisitos. Para mí lo más importante es que a mí, personalmente, a mí me guste la música. Porque si yo no creo en el proyecto o no me gusta la música, es muy difícil para yo poder venderlo, ¿no? Porque en essence, eso es lo que yo estoy haciendo. Yo estoy vendiendo un producto. Y el problema mío, que siempre me dicen todo el tiempo, es que yo no sé cómo mentir. Entonces yo no te puedo agarrar un producto, aunque no me guste, y decirte, ay, sí, esto es lo mejor que hay, porque no va a funcionar. Y también al mismo tiempo es la reputación mía. Si yo te llevo un producto que es malo, van a decir, Cris, what's up with that? You know what I mean? Entonces, para mí lo más importante es que la música me guste y que tengas el work ethic. Yo necesito saber que tú estás como que, sí, puesto para trabajar, hacer lo que se necesita hacer, trabajar, hacer las entrevistas, hacer, lo que es el social media, posting, todo eso. Mientras que uno le echa empeño, yo estoy dispuesta, porque como te dije desde un principio, a mí me encanta los que están empezando, porque es más un challenge. Like, it's that challenge of breaking the artist, like seeing like you took it from here to here. Like, that to me is satisfying, because it's like, oh, okay, I know how to work something from beginning to end, not just from here and continue going, right? Because like, okay, like for example, like I love Nicki, like he's one of like my favorite clients, but it's easy, like it's Nicki Jam, you know what I mean? Like who's gonna say no to me to Nicki Jam? But if you have a new up and coming artist, like you really have to show and prove, right? And then when you have like such a reputation of having a roster of great artists, when you take on an artist and you present it to someone else, they're gonna listen because you have brought them nothing but good stuff. Right. So that to me is important. I have to like the project and I have to know that you have good work ethic, because the one thing I hate is setting things up and you not coming through. The moment you don't come through, or I see that you're not putting in your part, then I'm like, well, then I can't be you. So goodbye. Like time is money, time is valuable. And it's like, if we're not all putting in our part, then I can use that time on someone else or on something else.
What do you think is probably like the most difficult thing in working public relations, right? Like with artists. Like I know the media tour is hectic as hell, right? Because I've been there where you call me and you're like, Max, we're running late, or we early, we need to do this faster, or like, do you think like the media tour is the most like stressful part for you, or is it the award shows, or like, because I've seen you in all facets. I've seen you in concerts, I've seen you in award shows, I've seen you in media tours, and then I've seen when you do the marketing. Which part do you feel is the most stressful for you?
That's a hard one. I want to say the most stressful is right before you are launching an album, like setting up for that release of an album, right? And that launch, like making sure that you have like write-ups in place, making sure you have all the assets, making sure that everything goes smoothly. I think that is my most stressful time, right? Because like at the award shows, it's stressful, but it's fun, right? Like going down the carpet and, making sure that they're in the room and they have everything that they need before they go on, and like taking them there. And like, those things are fun. Media tours are too, they could be stressful, yes, but it's fun. Like you're interacting, you're with people, like, you're going from here to there. Like, you're like,
then I treat you good. Treat you good. So I give you like treats and then.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like you went to the Audiomack offices and you know that you had snacks and you had the good drinks, because we would get the lacrosse, right? The lacrosse, the fancy waters. So yeah. I was like, no worries. We got snacks at this office and then we can go eat. So yeah, that was good always. And then it also helped.
The crisis management side of public relations?
Olivia Pope.
That could be easy, and then that could be hard at the same time, right? Sometimes when there's like a crisis management, like you literally just don't say anything and then kind of like ignore it to like have it go away. Then, well, yeah, because there's always something going on, right? So it's like one day, like the news will break, and then 2 weeks later, like something new will happen, right? Or they'll have a hit record, and then everyone will forget about that scandal, and it was like nothing ever happened. Yeah.
What about instances though when that doesn't happen and you have to, do something about it? How do you handle that?
You just kind of put out a statement, and then that's it, and then say no comment. and then you just don't do any interviews. And then if interviews do happen, you kind of control it, right? So it's like, okay, you can't say this, this, and this. And then if they start asking about it, just hit end, and then lost connection. Nope, we're not reconnecting.
Much easier now with the pandemic.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Even when there's one-on-ones, right? Like I'm always like one ear glued to like what they're saying and asking. So if they're saying something that we don't like or not supposed to be talked about, we intervene. We're like, nope, this wasn't part of the deal. Like this isn't the conversation. Or we'll be like, are we talking about the scandal or are we talking about the music? Because this is what we're here for. Because if not, then this interview will be over. And then we're the bad guys and the artist is the good guy saying, no, but no. This is not what we agreed upon.
So, Cris, I want to ask you, what do you think is one of your most memorable moments in the music industry?
Oh, that one's hard. There's so many, honestly.
Give me three. Give me three.
When the Rockstar remix came to life,
that was huge. That was huge.
Yeah, that was definitely huge for me.
Did you get any points on that?
Don't get me started. Perfect instance of yeah, it's okay. We opened doors. And that was the objective.
Number two.
Okay, number two, when I managed to get Nicky Jam on Fallon for the first time. So the first Latin artist that was on Fallon was Nicky and Balvin. And they performed X, which was a project that I was working at that time. That was huge. That literally
Didn't they perform? Didn't they perform that in the World Cup too?
No, he performed the World Cup after he did Fallon, but he did he did the song with this girl, I forget her name, from Europe, and Will Smith. What he did was he had the shirt of the picture of Balvin that he wore when he performed. Yeah. But yeah, when we got Fallon for the first time, like literally, like I saw him performing it, like we were live, and I literally like shed a tear because I was like, to me, that was a monumental moment, right? Like I had fought so hard to have like a Latin artist on late night TV, and it took so long to get it approved. Like I literally had to be like, here's some numbers, like look at his charts and look at his numbers on IG and like look at all of this. When they said yes, that was like, woo, like that was a moment, you know what I mean? Like I felt like there was barriers being broken there. And then number three, I guess award shows. Like every time I go to an award show, I feel like there's a sense of accomplishment there.
I thought you was gonna say working with me. I thought it was like number three.
Let me retract. Number three was when we sealed the deal for Audiomack and Candyland, and that relationship started. And then the bonds when we went to Cracker Barrel for breakfast the next day to celebrate. That was number 3. I'll never forget that breakfast. Oh, and then we went shopping afterwards. Good times in Orlando.
Yeah, Orlando lifestyle.
Yeah.
¿Cómo ha cambiado la pandemia lo que es public relations ahora?
Para mí no ha cambiado mucho, al contrario, desde que empezó la pandemia hasta ahora, yo no he dejado de trabajar. Es como que el mundo se achicó y todo se hace más fácil en el sentido de que, como estamos hablando nosotros ahorita, tú estás en Miami, yo estoy aquí, lo mismo puedo hacer con mi gente de España, con mi gente de Colombia, con mi gente de México, y como que el mundo se hizo de tan grande a más pequeño porque la conexión es más como que one-on-one, ¿no? Ya no necesito necesariamente irme para México para hacer relaciones públicas, ni para hacer negocios, ni para hablar o conectarme con gente. Es como que aquí estamos. En ciertos aspectos como que es un poco aburrido porque no tenemos como esos media tours que yo no puedo ir a ver a Max y get those office goodies como se hacía antes, ¿no? Pero estamos mucho más conectados que antes. Hablamos más, estamos como que haciendo más cosas. So, tiene sus pros y sus cons. Mientras que la conexión física no está ahí, la conexión sí en mayoría está más abierta.
So just to end this is the last question.
Okay.
And I was saving this for the end, right?
Okay.
What is the future? What is the future of your company and you besides giving birth?
I feel like the future is definitely like more branding, right? I started this platform called Conciencia Collective, and
I love.
Thank you. I love that we're a partner in that also. Conciencia Collective has a very powerful playlist, and we push it monthly. So, you like that plug?
Yeah, I like it.
I feel like branding and content creating is like the next step for me. I also want to do more endorsements, right? I want to connect music with endorsement deals in which when an artist comes out with like an album, we're connecting like a campaign to go around, like, let's just say like a Manuel Turizo. Like my goal is to have Manuel Turizo and Calvin Klein, right? Like we want to merge that partnership. So it's like if there's an album that he drops, then it's like all ties in together, right? So there's more to just having a write-up on Rolling Stone or having like a write-up on Billboard. Like I want bigger in that aspect. I want to do more than just like a late night TV at this point. Like I feel like we can do like bigger things to like create more awareness. So content branding is kind of like what I want to like step up to next. Obviously continuing what we're still doing because that formula works, right? But just want to add to it, like make it bigger. And I feel like eventually I could be a label, not necessarily like, well, yeah. I mean, I honestly, I feel like I can run circles around people at labels sometimes. You know what I mean? Because of the fact that I'm Indian, I could do so much on my own. Like sometimes I'll be like, okay, but you can only do so much to a certain point. But yeah, like I love that freedom and that independence. So like, yeah, I consider myself like a mini consulting label, and that's kind of like where I want to continue to be at.
All right. We learned a lot of stuff from you, Cris. I appreciate you coming. It was super difficult to get you here. You tried to dodge me, but you couldn't.
I did. I'm not gonna lie. I sure did. But thank you for having me. It was great, honestly. I hope you guys did learn. something, but it was definitely a smooth. I love the conversation. I always love the banter that I have with you, so it was fun.
I appreciate that. I didn't ask you any questions where you had to end the interview. So I just want you to tell Matt I love him.
I sure will.
I love you guys. And thank you for being on the show, on the podcast.
Problem.
Thanks for being on Otro Nivel podcast.